Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new feature proposed to you by Siinda. We call it the EU Snap from Siinda. So what we do is that we take a regulatory point and we try to do a 15-minute snapshot on this key EU regulatory point and why it's important for Siinda members and for the digital advertising and marketing space at large. So today, we're going to talk about the Digital Market Act Gatekeeper designation, which happened just as we speak. I mean, it was designated today. So what is it about? Well, it comes under the Digital Market Act. And what happened was that the Digital Market Act has been adopted for quite some time now with the EU. And it set up some special function for online platforms, for very large online platforms, which will qualify as a gatekeeper. So after the entry into force of the Digital Market Act, companies that went over the threshold of a certain number of users and of turnover and of different type of items had to designate themselves in front of the European Commission. And the European Commission took some months to assess if they qualify or not as gatekeeper under the Digital Market Act. And today, on the 6th of September, the European Commission finally unveiled the list of the 6 designated gatekeepers. So you see here on the screen the companies that have been designated as gatekeepers by the EU. So it's Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, ByteDance, Meta, and Microsoft. And more importantly, for each of these companies, the EU has designated a core platform service, so really relating to a product that falls under the DMA and for which the gatekeeper, so the company in question, has to provide certain access or has to make sure that they respect the do and don'ts of the DMA. So if we take, for example, for our Siinda members, we take, for example, the example of search. You see here that Google Alphabet has been designated as a gatekeeper for the core platform service of Google Search. This is the only core service that's been designated today by the Commission as a core platform service. But you also have Google Maps, for example, you have Amazon Marketplace. In social networks, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are there, but also TikTok. And there are some elements also in messaging here, WhatsApp and Messenger, in browser settings, so the Chrome and Safari, I mean, you name it. So you have several evolution on that. What's happening also in parallel is that, so there are these 6 formal designation, and from day one, the gatekeepers have to comply with certain rules and obligations. We will explain in a minute. But in parallel to this formal designation, the European Commission is also concluded some market investigation, has launched some market investigation to assess if the following core platforms would qualify as gateways. So Bing, Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Advertising, and Apple iMessage are not designated yet as core platform services, but they are under the scrutiny of the market investigation opened by the European Commission. And also in parallel, the EC opened another market investigation to determine if Apple's iPad OS should also be designated as a gatekeeper, despite not meeting the threshold that are unveiled by the DMA. And the deadline for this investigation to be completed is 12 months. So in 1 year from today, we'll have the results of this investigation for Apple iPad OS. So what are the next steps now for these 6 designated gatekeepers? Well, they have 6 months to comply with the do and don'ts of the DMA. We'll see in the next slides what are the major do and don'ts. And there are 2 obligations that are already effective from day one, so meaning from today. The first one is the obligation on gatekeepers to put in place a compliance function. So it means that you need to have a compliance function in place for the links with the businesses and for the platform, let's say, interaction. And the second obligation, which is key in terms of EU competition law, is also that the gatekeepers have to report on intended concentrations with the meaning of the EU merger regulation, meaning that if there are some acquisitions that are in the loophole that would, in effect, make the gatekeepers' presence in the market even bigger, then there needs to be an advanced reporting, not only after. So it means that the competition compliance is going to look ex ante and not ex post. So this is a big shift, let's say, in the competition, in the EU competition and fair competition landscape. And in case of non-compliance, so after the 6 months period, and then the Commission will reassess compliance. And in case of non-compliance, the Commission can impose fines up to 10% of the global annual turnover, or it can even go to 20% of the global annual turnover if there are repeated infringements. So it's the same size than the GDPR fines. So what are the major do's and don'ts? I'm not going to go through everything, but in the do part, next things is to really open the settings and the operating systems to third parties. So for example, end users must be allowed to easily uninstall pre-installed apps or change the default settings on operating systems, on virtual assistants, or on web browsers. So you shouldn't be locked into a special browser. Then same thing, allow end user to install third-party apps that can interoperate with the operating system of the gatekeeper. The possibility to unsubscribe from core platform services as easily as to subscribe to them. So the fact is similar to the kind of cookie consent, it should be as easy as to subscribe than to unsubscribe. The interoperability, of course, and on advertising and on search, but more importantly on advertising. DMA designation of the gatekeeper means that the gatekeeper have to provide the companies who are advertising on their platforms with access to the performance measuring tools in order to enable the advertisers, publishers, or the companies who are advertising on their platforms to carry out their own independent verification of the systems. So, access to the backend, let's say, and also allow the business users to promote their own offers outside of the gatekeeper's platform. So you don't have a lock-in effect in some platforms, marketplaces, name it, that's going to be triggered by the untriggered, sorry, by the DMA. On the don'ts, I mean, there is a ban on using the data of business users when the gatekeepers compete with them on their own platforms. So it's, it's going to change a lot of the picture. Also on ranking the gatekeeper own products or services in a more favorable manner compared to the other of the third parties. So this is going to bring a lot of different competition angles there. And also you can't require anymore, if you're a gatekeeper app developer, to use certain of the gatekeeper's services, for example, such as payment services or special identity providers. So it will have to be open to other competitors as well. And last but not least, I mean, there is also in the DMA for gatekeepers a ban on tracking end users outside of the gatekeeper's core platform services for the purpose of targeted advertising, if there has not been effective consent granted by the end users. So the consent management is going to be more and more important into this environment. What is the next timeline? So you see here, that the notification was done in July, and then the designation came in September 2023. So today, in parallel, there's the opening of the market investigations on rebuttals. So potential new designation could happen in February 2024. And the deadline to comply is going to be the 6th of March 2024. And the deadline to comply with potential new designation will be also the 6th of August 2024. So we'll have to see, in a few months, and no doubt that this is going to bring a lot of change into the online environment at European level. So thank you very much for following us today. This was the EU Snap from Siinda. You have a 15-minute snapshot on an important EU regulatory issue. And you can see that on the Siinda website, www.siinda.org. Thanks very much.